Hi there, Pisces. Welcome to a love reading for August 2026. It's Raina here, and I'm doing this reading over again because I was talking about the lunar eclipse in your sign, and I wanted to really, this is something that is actually happening at the end of August, but for some of you, it might be in July when you're feeling it. So this can be major endings, which can have a lot of, meaning for you as you continue the last months of 2026. And this is going to be the last one in this series. You're going to have another in Virgo in next February, and that's going to be in the relationship sector. But right now, in this mid-July period, we have a Mercury retrograde, and it's in Cancer, and Cancer for you is the 5th house, which is the house of creativity, but also of love. So you may hear back from somebody from your past that you dated, for instance, or that you once loved, and sometimes that can throw a monkey wrench in somebody's life because they aren't sure what to do. All of a sudden something gets stirred up. By the way, this is a reading for singles, and the heart of the matter is the Queen of Cups. I believe that this is connected to Cancer. This is a double water energy, but I remember somebody wrote to me on YouTube, and I think they said it was Scorpio, but to me it's definitely Cancer. It's some mother energy, the artist, the psychic. Certainly the psychic and the artist would apply to Pisces. But in terms of love, this could be the person that wants to have love in their life because they want to start a family. And they don't want, maybe they've been dating or just hooking up with people, and that's been okay, but now they're ready to settle down finally. But one thing I just want to say is I apologize if there isn't the greatest resolution. My phone camera is having a hard time focusing, and this isn't the main camera that I use. My other phone, just decided to wig out. So hopefully it's not too bad, especially when I hold up the cards. In the past position, we have the 7 of Cups, and there can be indecision, there can be wishful thinking, where you want something to be other than what it is. There's a snake in that cup, and you want it to be the rose. So this can, apply to choosing between love partners, but it can also be, and the issue of discernment, whether the person is really choosing wisely, but also in terms of careers, because Queen of Cups really has a strong connection to artists and healers. But even like if you want to be a hands-on parent, that can be it, or even just any type of parent, and maybe like, okay, I still have to work, or I want to work, I want to preserve my career, what do I do? How can I make it all work? So there could be that going on. But maybe with the 7 of Cups, you haven't been really looking at it in a realistic way for whatever reason. You want to kind of frame it in that sort of way. The higher message is the Hanged One. I'm just going to refer to it as the Hangman. And this is a card of being in a state of suspension. You could say limbo in some cases. In terms of love, this can be, the Pisces is a very sensitive sign. Of course, not all Pisces are, Pisces is not a monolith, and there's going to be differences in how each individual Pisces behaves. But as a sign, you're very sensitive. And as a sensitive person, it can make you a little bit leery of getting involved in a new relationship if you have suffered in the past. As a matter of fact, this is the card that crosses you is the Ten of Swords, and this can indicate past betrayal. But it also can be, I feel like if you approach it in a positive way, this can be the end of a cycle. So maybe you are now in a place where you won't keep experiencing that pattern, and you're kind of exhausted. I say exhausted that karma and stuff, not to say that it's outside of yourself, but you have learned enough about that situation that you no longer have to experience it. What is coming in is the moon card in the tarot. In astrology, the moon rules Cancer, which of course, and we are having a new moon in Cancer, so that if we look at it from that angle, the time, like as a timing card, on the 14th, I'll say around the 14th, because some people outside the United States might not be having it on that date. Maybe it's a day later. The new moon is in Cancer, in your 5th house of love and creativity. And so, but it is, we're in a retrograde period. So anything, like if you meet somebody that becomes a love interest, there may be a delay because the time when you meet them is, the timing is off. Something has to be adjusted sometimes for some people. Like maybe they're in the midst of getting a divorce and they can't commit to a new person or whatever. But also, since the moon card connects to Pisces in the tarot, it might be saying this is your time. This is, that lunar eclipse in your sign in late August. This can be a very powerful period for you where the endings that you experience lead to beginnings like love. Maybe an old relationship running its course, and you have this new life that's opening up to you. The outcome card is the Three of Swords. Now, sometimes this can be a card of a three-party situation. If you are currently involved with someone, and that's why one of the things too is that this card can be if you love someone that is involved with somebody else, make sure that you are not being jerked around. Make sure that you're not, there's not these empty promises of like, oh yeah, I'm going to get divorced, but first I have to do this. And then maybe they give you some time frame and that comes and goes. And then you believe the excuses and you keep being, that song, you keep me hanging on, because what's interesting about this card is it can be a clean break. Like you just decide, okay, I'm done. Like no more. And by the way, some Pisces people have Venus in Aquarius, or maybe they have the moon in Aquarius, where their emotions, like especially with the moon in Aquarius, they can shut down. Even though they're a water sign, emotionally, they can be very suddenly like, okay, I'm done with this. Because part of it is from their past, they had to do that as a protective device, but they have the capability, even though they can love very deeply. And so that can be cutting that off very decisively. And that opens up new possibilities. And that's what the clarification card suggests. Three of Wands, this expansiveness, new territories, maybe even with a fire sign. Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a mutable sign like you are, so sometimes that can indicate that the person has this attraction to this person, but sometimes they can clash. But that's what makes it so sexy, is that they, you know, they have that side, you know, that's the physical attraction as well. But any kind of expansive, even like moving, relocating, and, you know, going from one side of the country to the other, maybe moving to another country. And think about it. Think about the people that maybe they went to college in a different country or across the country, far away from their home, you know, where they grew up. And it seems like their life really came into fruition in a big way after they made that move. You know, that's not going to happen 100% of the time, because you can't just fix something geographically. But sometimes that's what is meant to be. And there's some part of you that really wants more out of your life. And this also goes for your work life. If you're kind of in this transitional period where you're, I think especially if you're kind of owning your creative gifts or your healing abilities with the Queen of Cups, that you embrace that the moon is connected to creativity. So, you know, the swords is connected to your the mental side, the intellect. So, you know, somebody who's a teacher but wants to be an artist, for instance. And there might be that shift. Okay, that's what I have for you, Pisces. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, I do astrology as well as the tarot. Please click on the link below for more information. Thanks for watching. Bye.